Today's game is brought to you by Dodge Cars and Ram Tough. Dodge Trucks, Dodge, America's Revolution. By the Ask for Motor Oil, Pennzoil, protection worth asking for. And by Adolph Coors Company, Golden, Colorado, the best of the Rockies is yours. And the Seattle Seahawks won the toss. They have elected to receive. So Chris Barr, in his 8th season out of Penn State, getting set to kick off to the combination of Zachary Dixon. There's Zachary on the left side of the screen and David Hughes on the right. And we're underway here at the Kingdome in Seattle. This is Dixon. Out to the 20. Penalty flags thrown as Zach Dixon in his 5th season out of Temple returns across the 20-yard line, a 21-yard return. The referee today is Jim Tunney, and we await the call. Jim Zorn with Kurt Warner and David Hughes in the Seattle backfield. Steve Largent sitting it out at the start. He was questionable because of a knee injury and may play later on, but Byron Walker gets the starting nod, and the offensive line of the Seattle Seahawks anchored by the veteran center Blair Bush.
Illegal block above the waist, number 57, half the distance, 10 yards.
So it is Shelton Robinson called for the illegal block, and the Seahawks back at their 8-yard line and going to work. Jim Zorn, who has played very well against the Raiders. He's thrown 6 touchdowns in 6 games against the Raider franchise. And this is Kurt Warner, the AFC's leading rusher with 531 yards. Kurt Warner stopped by Ted Hendricks.
And Marv, you might mention Howie Long, Reggie Kinlaw, and Lyle Alzado, who are in there now, interchanged with the other 3 who are equally as able. And those 2 in the white letters are the fellows who are replaced by the 5 defensive backs when they play the nickel and sometimes 6.
And the Raiders secondary, Hayes, Watts, Davis, McElroy. Pick up a 5, 2nd down and 5 out of the 13. David Hughes along with Kurt Warner. And this is Hughes. Hughes in his 3rd season out of Boise State, averaging about 3.5 per carry, picked up 4. So the Seahawks are just short of a 1st down. Rod Martin on the stop. It's been a rough week for Kurt Warner. Has not been with the club throughout the week. He'd been home at Pineville, West Virginia, because his grandmother died last Tuesday. Kurt was raised by his grandmother, and the funeral was yesterday. There was a question as to whether he would play today.
I think there are very few athletes who could change their viewpoint and all of their preparation into a mental condition to make them as able as they normally would be. As Jim Zorn said earlier today, he says, I think he's one of the few that can.
And Dan Dorning looking for the 1st down. They're calling for the yardsticks. Ted Hendricks was there to make the stop. No gain. So Dorning is stopped, and the Seahawks are forced to punt. Head coach Chuck Knox, who did not appreciate the officiating last week in the game against San Diego. Seahawks penalized 15 times. The Chargers only twice.
Yeah, that's too many. I tell you, I don't know a head coach that would say that's okay.
Actually, they were hit with 17 penalties. 2 were declined. Here's Jeff West, and he just did get it all. Greg Pruitt on the fair catch, and let's see if they call it contact.
They call it contact, but I think he was knocked into him, and so there will be no flag thrown, no penalty incurred. 1st and 10, at least they have excellent field position. You can see Otis McKinney is really the man that made contact with the man coming down the field. So, well done.
Jeff West, who gets excellent hang time, that time with a 31-yard punt. But here are the Raiders in terrific field position as they open up at the Seattle 47-yard line. Calvin Muhammad to the left, starting in place of Cliff Branch, who injured his hamstring with that sensational touchdown pass play against the Redskins. And Jim Plunkett fires clears the middle, and he has the tight end Todd Christensen. Keith Butler, inside linebacker on the right, along with Shelton Robinson making the stop. Marcus Allen and Frank Hawkins at the running backs. Kenny King is out with a bruised knee. And the receivers, Muhammad along with Malcolm Barnwell, and one of Plunkett's favorites, the tight end, Christensen. Offensive line, Dave Dalby, the center, in his 12th year out of UCLA. Hannah Marvin at the guards, and Davis and Lawrence at the tackles. Pick up of 5, second down and 5. 2 minutes gone by. First quarter, no score. And here's Allen to the 39-yard line. So a 3-yard advance. Tuiasosopo and Bryant combining on the stop.
3 #1 draft choices. Now, when you have your defense, you'd love to build them against 3 outstanding defensive linemen. They've got 3 in Seattle. Makes the job a lot easier for the linebackers, but they've been hurt in that position.
They have had a couple of injuries, and the backups are a question mark. Very young behind the starters.
Kenny Easley's supposed to be healthy again, Marv, so number 45 should be a factor.
And here's a 3rd down and 2. Down and more.
You know, sometimes they say, let's take it up the middle. That is a perfect dissection. I don't think I've ever seen a play that went so much up the middle. Take a look. Number 50, Dave Dalby, the center. Here comes Frank Hawkins, runs right up over the top of the ball. Dalby cleared out some running room. They've got a 1st and 10.
11-yard pickup for Hawkins, who has played very well. First in filling in for Marcus Allen against the Redskins when Allen was out with a bruised hip. And today starting for the injured Kenny King. First down at the 28. That is Muhammad in motion. And Plunkett. Marcus Allen not able to hang on.
Plunk made a pretty good throw right there, trying to get to Marcus Allen. In the films, it's been shown that Seattle has deep drops, but this is the kind of play that Plunk's trying to take. He's trying to take advantage of Jacob Green's great mobility. Jacob, number 79, is the left end. On that play, he was just long gone, no factor for Plunkett. He didn't have much room to throw the ball, but you'll see him roll out if he can, when he can.
And Jim is coming off an uneven performance. You look at the stats, 15 of 28 against Kansas City, but not a good one last week. Allen on the sweep. Marcus Allen right near the first down marker. 77, Jeff Bryant, able to make the stop. A 9-yard pickup for Marcus, who says he wants to handle the ball more frequently. He feels the Raiders aren't giving it to him frequently enough.
Well, I tell you what, the Raiders didn't give it to him as much as they could in the last couple ball games. Remember, he didn't really play against the Redskins, okay? So Plunkett had to throw the ball some. Now, last week, they would like to have given him the ball more, but they're down 21-7. You know, they're a couple touchdowns back, and when you're a couple down, it's the quarterback's turn to throw the ball around the infield, so they couldn't do the things they like to do offensively, and Marcus doesn't get to carry it as much.
So the former high school quarterback completed 2 passes.
I know, maybe they should have played him quarterback.
All right, here is Allen. Todd Christensen, touchdown. I didn't call that play.
About your plays that are wide open. Those are the things you find in the films. You get into a certain situation, like inside the 15-yard line. They had discussed it earlier. We didn't know when it was going to happen. Any sort of a pitch. They've got Todd Christensen, who is playing tight end on the other side with 2 tight ends. He makes his block down the field. Looks like a simple little running play. All the linemen going to the left, wide open, and Marcus Allen has a good throwing motion.
He threw a touchdown last week, completed another pass, and he's done it again here. And the crowd is stunned as Chris Barr adds the extra point. Marcus Allen with his 2nd touchdown pass within the last 2 games. And with 4.5 gone by, first quarter, the Raiders with the early lead.
Shoots out off the line of scrimmage, falls down on his knees. When he does so, Kenny Easley gets into the flow of the play, figures Christensen is no longer a factor. He gets up and he's standing all alone. That's what you call fooling a defensive back.
And Todd Christensen with his 5th touchdown reception of the season. The kickoff by Barr. And Zachary Dixon back at his goal line. Good acceleration by Dixon. Nice return out to the 25-yard line. Rick Burns on the stop. They call it a 24-yard kickoff return. So the Seahawks with a 1st and 10 at their 25. Jim Zorn, 8th year out of California Poly in Pomona, 30 years old. And under Chuck Knox, he has played more under control, which had been one of his problems in the past. Exciting quarterback, but
he has. They've really asked him to do a lot less. And he said, you know what I think the big difference between our offense right now and our offense in the past is we've got 6 or 7 plays that we call our personality. And we're going to run them against whoever we play week in and week out. And he says, we haven't done that in the past. We've gone from pillar to post. And that's one of the plays they'll be running all day long, no matter what defense is put in front of them.
3-yard advance for Kurt Warner. Richard Todd had a nightmare. Intercepted 5 times as Miami walloped the Jets 32-14. And Pittsburgh winning big over Cleveland in the 4th quarter.
No bargain for Brian Seif. And the 49ers slipped it to him 32-13, scoring 26 points in the 2nd half.
2nd down, and they call it 6. And again, it's Warner. Nice move as he went outside.
Well, excuse me. I think he answered all the questions about whether or not he's ready. What they do is Ray Prohaska, the offensive coordinator of the Seahawks, when he gets into an offensive structure, he is the line coach and the coordinator. He's got those 5 offensive linemen doing things to allow backs to get free. You don't see room to run like that for I don't care who the back is unless your coordinator is well structured, and they are.
And Kurt picked up the 1st down out of the 36-yard line. 5.5 minutes in. 1st quarter, Raiders lead it 7-0. This is Hughes. Quick opener. David Hughes. 5-yard gain. Rod Martin, number 53, on the tackle. San Diego doing it. I should say New England doing it to San Diego. A come-from-behind effort by the Patriots.
Well, you know, so many people were concerned with San Diego as we noticed Minnesota gives it to Houston. They're in the league doormat. Doesn't matter who the coach is. It's still not a strong group.
And Detroit has come from behind. St. Louis beating Tampa Bay. Buffalo over Baltimore in the 3rd.
And that sums it up, kid.
Seattle yet to throw. 2nd down and 5. And again to the...
Okay, what do you do? If you're a team like Seattle, they can cause the Raiders a problem. The Raiders have a great pass rush, okay? They've sacked quarterbacks for more yardage than any other team in the game. But when you have a running back that is this explosive, it really tends to keep the defensive linemen and linebackers at home. And Kurt Warner is not just another good back. He's an offensive himself. That's one reason it allows Zorn to take not as much of the responsibility.
25 yards, 4 carries for Kurt Warner. 1st down at the 50. Zorn looking to throw for the 1st time. And he picked up 2 on the play. Ted Hendricks able to tackle Zorn, who could not find a receiver. His favorite receiver, Steve Largent, sitting it out right now. Injured his knee last week against San Diego and did not practice at all during the week.
I don't think the practice would be the factor. I'm sure it's the condition of his knee, because when he came out here to run, he is one of the brightest wide receivers that's ever played this game. He can sit and dissect the defense in about 5 minutes. It's not going to take him a lot of practice time to get used to each other. So I think it's just his knee, and I doubt if we'll see much of it.
2nd down play. Look out. Penalty marker down. Rod Martin on the stop. You saw the jumping. And it is offside. Called on the Raiders.
Well, listen, the Raiders know they're trying to get off on the ball at the right time. They know they've got a problem handling this man. Number 28, little sidestep, different direction. Rod Martin gets on him, but when you start before the ball snapped, it's a bit easier.
53, 5 yards.
So it is Martin, who is having an outstanding season, leads the club in tackles. There's a final, New England. over San Diego, 37-21.
Cannot play without defense. They do not have one.
2nd down and 2. This is Hughes. Mike Davis, the strong safety, number 36, along with Rod Martin on the stop. Hughes did break one tackle but could not accelerate, and so the Seahawks are short of the first down. David Hughes, a 2nd-round draft pick back in '81, born in Honolulu, Hawaii, but grew up in Kirkland, Washington, so he's playing for his hometown team.
There are a lot of fellas from the area, and a couple from Oregon State, one from Gonzaga. They've had a lot from around the area, and a lot of good players. Take Dornick from Washington State. He's a local fella.
You just saw the tight end Metzelars in motion. Here's Warner.
Reggie McKenzie must feel like he just died and went to heaven. I mean, he goes from O.J. Simpson to Kurt Warner. I wouldn't say they're dropping a lot. You take a look. When you get a running back as good as Kurt Warner is, what you do is you try to get somebody at the point of attack. If it takes 2 blockers to get 1 defender, get him on the ground, and the running back will find some room on his own. This time is exactly what happened. The 2 fellas on the right side. Steve August is having a wonderful time playing tackle for the Seahawks now, and 28's making him love it.
He picked up 10, first down at the Raider 32. Zorn throws, overthrows. The intended receiver was Paul Johns. Ted Watts. There's Watts covering on the play.
Well, Howie Long got in there very quick on that play. Howie Long is playing excellent defensive line play for the Raiders right now. But let's take a look at why the pass was not able to be completed. See Rod Martin, number 53, just underneath 85. It always looks like you've overthrown your receiver, but it's the linebacker who gets in the path and doesn't allow you to complete the ball that's responsible for the defensive play.
2nd down and 10 as they come out of the I. Walker in motion. Straight ahead. Kurt Warner to the 30. Short pickup, Van McElroy, free safety on the stop. That's McElroy helping Warner up.
You know, the Marcus Allens and the Kurt Warners, and you look around the league, the Wendell Tylers, it looks like every time they're brought down, it's the last guy that brings them down, and he was lucky to get him. It's just like Hugh McElhaney 25, 30 years ago. Every time he got the ball, the whole stand stood up, and this guy has the same effect.
Well, the Rams trailing Atlanta. Could be bad news for Dallas. They got off to an early lead.
That's right. They have never done that.
10th play of the drive. And Dorning for the first down. So Dorning out of the backfield. And he's picked it up.
Hey, I'd like to find... They're throwing him a little penalty. And don't think penalties don't carry over. Moods carry over. 15-2 last week. Now they get penalized when they think they've continued their drive, picked up a first down. Charlie Sumner said before the game, if I see number 33 catch a 3rd down pass for a first down, I'm liable to jump up there in the booth with you because he's the only man they throw to.
Well, apparently they were calling for the yardsticks. And
I see.
The crowd reacted because they felt it was a clear-cut first down, and it was a question of where the ball was spotted, and it is. First down picked up by Seattle at the 22. And Jim Zorn has got over the 20,000-yard mark for his career.
And it didn't take him long.
He needed 6 yards coming in. Warner stopped at the 20. Alzado and Millen combined on the tackle, a 3-yard advance. Seattle Seahawks come in at 3 up, 3 down last week, losing in San Diego 28-21 after leading 21-zip.
Marv, I think, you know, what should be mentioned as you see that statistic, it's how long did it take him to do it, and he's been in this game for 8 years. This is his 8th year. That's over 2,500 yards a season, and there's a good chance that before he's through, he'll have as many as 40,000, and there's only one man that's ever done that.
2nd down and 7. And again, Warner creating the additional yardage. Bob Nelson on the stop. It appeared that Warner would be trapped, but able to pick up 3.
Boy, it makes you feel a little bit helpless out there playing defenses. Now, McElroy's an excellent defensive back. Number 26, he barely touched him, let alone tackled him. So when you're out there all alone as a safety man trying to make the force, and you have a running back like Warner, you have your hands full.
It's a 3rd down and 4 at the 16. The Seahawks feel that Zorn was able to work his way in. He looks to be just short. A 15-yard run by Zorn, who saw the opening and took advantage.
Jim Zorn still does some of the things that he did a lot when he was a younger quarterback, and he still does them just as well. It's that they don't have to depend on him to do that in order to win a football game. He sends both backs wide. They have no linebackers in the area to handle the play because they're both man-to-man on the running backs. So when these defensive backs get on the wide receivers, he sees nothing but room. He gets it down to the 1-foot line.
And 1st and goal. It's Warner. And he is stopped short. He tried to knife his way in.
Whenever you start trying to back in, there's a good chance you will not get there.
It will be a 2nd and goal. 2 minutes, 23 seconds remaining, 1st quarter. Raiders lead 7-0. On the option, it was Marcus Allen connecting with the tight end Todd Christensen. 19-yard pass play. So Allen, who threw a touchdown last week, has done it again here. And you see the final scores: Detroit over Chicago. 15th play of this sustained drive. 2nd and goal. Touchdown. The Seahawks on the board.
Dan Dornick, who is their 3rd down receiver. He's a short yardage man. He's been helpful around here for several years. Now he's got a group with him. That offensive line moved people around up front for the Raiders, and it's one of the few times I've seen it happen all year. The first 4 games of the season, nobody even scored a rushing touchdown against the Raider defense. This is the most impressive drive I've seen against that defense all year long.
And here's Norm Johnson with Jim Zorn holding. And we are tied at 7. A Seattle drive that took 8 minutes and 20 seconds, concluding with Dorning taking it over for his 2nd touchdown of the season.
Seguin, Texas, and Milwaukee.
Plays 75 yards. Dorning took it in. We're tied at 7. Just under 2 minutes remaining in this 1st quarter. And the kickoff by Norm Johnson, a boomer. And Seattle's kickoff coverage, leading the National Football League last season, excellent again this year. But a penalty marker has been tossed, and we'll pick up that penalty right after we break for this timeout.
Introducing the long.
We're taking a look at Tom Flores, who is a bit concerned, and Sam Bogosian, standing on his right, has been the offensive line coach for several years with the Raiders. He knows he's got some outstanding offensive linemen. Mosbar, the #1 draft pick, and Shelby Jordan are sitting on the bench. He said, man, he said it's hard to keep those 2 fellas there.
Very attractive backup situation, and you have a versatile guy in Steve Sylvester backing up the center and at the guards. Don Mosbar, #1 draft pick out of University of Southern Cal, and Shelby Jordan acquired along with Don Hasselbeck several weeks back from the Patriots.
You know, we take a look at Chuck Knox with Keith Butler, the linebacker from Memphis State, who's been here for quite a while and is now noticing some of the changes. When Chuck Knox stepped in here, he took charge, and he brought his 2 jewels, Pryhoska and Catlin, to coordinate the other sides of the line of scrimmage. And I'll tell you what he did. I said, hey, what's happening? He says, well, they've been ready around here. They've been ready to win here for a long time. And he says, you know, they weren't prepared to win. He says, you can be as ready as you want. He said, but unless you're prepared. He said it doesn't do you much good. He said he got lucky, and he feels like he's got 5 acquisitions as we watch them step it back to the 20.
Correction on the enforcement of the penalty. Information, the ball was in the air while the foul occurred. The penalty is from the kickoff spot. Seattle has declined the penalty. Los Angeles takes the ball at the 20-yard line, 1st and 10.
Oh, I see. So it's like from where the ball was kicked. They certainly don't want it to go back there, so that's a weird rule, Marv. I mean, if you're going to enforce something, you should give the team that has been imposed upon the benefit, the best deal, and that certainly wasn't it there.
That's a flaw.
Yeah.
In the rule.
It'll be changed.
All right, 1st down at the 20, and here's Allen. Gang tackled after the short pickup. Bruce Schultz, the outside linebacker, on the left, leading the charge. Schultz, 2nd year out of Texas. So Allen picked up a couple. It'll be a 2nd down and 8. Pittsburgh walloping Cleveland now 44-17, and Buffalo leading Baltimore 30-7.
Buffalo is coming on, and it looks like they may be the class in the AFC East. Kay Stevenson has done a job.
And the Eagles taking the lead on Dallas. Play action. The bullet played by Christensen for a 1st down. Kerry Justin in on the tackle along with Michael Jackson, the outside linebacker. So 10-yard pass play, and Todd Christensen, who caught the touchdown for Marcus Allen in the earlier 1st quarter, with his 2nd reception of the day. They'll make it 3rd reception.
You can see that Plunkett feels that he can get to Christensen a little more this afternoon than he's been able to in the last couple of games. He threw to him a lot early in the season, really laid off him the last couple of weeks for whatever reason, and he's come to him 3 times already today.
Michael Jackson of Seattle shaken up.
Hurt his leg somewhere.
And a timeout is called with 44 seconds remaining in this 1st quarter. First down at the 33. Malcolm Barnwell not able to hang on. He was covered by Kerry Justin.
You can quiet down the wave if you make a reception. We'll take a look at Jacob Green. Here is the #1 defensive lineman for the Seahawks, one of the premier in the game. Henry Lawrence is doing a job on him so far. If he doesn't get to Plunkett, Plunkett will have a field day.
Jacob Green's specialty is getting the quarterback. Holds the Seattle team record. He had 12 sacks 2 years ago. 2nd down and 10. 30 seconds left. 1st quarter. We're tied at 7. Plunkett throwing the bomb to Muhammad. And that will be pass interference as Muhammad was tripped up by the strong safety Kent Easley.
And Calvin Mohammed, although he got the penalty in his favor, is limping. And remember, Cliff Branch is also out of this ball game. Without a deep threat, the Raiders' personality would be cut to nil. Now that was Kenny Easley, who could not come back. It looks like he got tripped up on Mohammed. He saw the ball short, was trying to do something about it, could not. Got caught for an interference, but I tell you what, I'd rather have the ball back at the line of scrimmage with a healthy Muhammad than have a penalty with nobody to throw to.
It's a 50-yard penalty. So that cost the Seahawks. Doki Williams, who caught a touchdown last week. In fact, it was Marcus Allen who threw to Williams, has replaced Muhammad. Plunkett for Hawkins. Let's see what they call it. If they call it a completion and a fumble, it may be Seahawk ball. It was Butler who covered up, and that's the call. Keith Butler on the recovery, and Seattle takes possession with 12 seconds left, 1st quarter.
Marv, you asked me early in the ball game, will being ahead 21-0 and losing the football game affect the Seahawks negatively? We mentioned, just take a look at the hitting. These guys are having to go at one another. They have been since the opening game started. When you play against the Raiders, you know it's going to be a long afternoon if you don't start forcing the action. The Seahawks have forced it from the get-go, and they've got a turnover at 7-7, and the Kingdome has come to life.
Seattle first down at their 14-yard line.
That is some statistic. 10 touchdowns out of 20 turnovers.
Seattle, an opportunistic ball club. Hughes out to the 18-yard line.
You'd say that must be rare for the Raiders to give the ball up. Well, they've had 22 turnovers in 6 games and are still 5-1. That shows you how good their defense has played and has carried their football team through the early part of the season. But the Seattle Seahawks are taking it to them now.
This is the wrong time to find out you don't have the right insurance.
Michael Jackson suffered a slight injury to the right knee and should return, sitting it out right now. It'll be a 2nd down and 6 at the 18-yard line as we get underway. 2nd quarter. Marv Albert, John Brody from Seattle, Washington. Kurt Warner did not make the turn and was cut off by Ted Watts.
Yeah, there was a very small road leading to that down the field that time. But you take a look. This is a real matchup. You've got an offensive line that's allowed the least sacks in the game. They move across the line, giving Warner a chance to run with the ball also. Against the team, the Raiders have sacked quarterbacks for more yardage than any team in the league, and they're still playing the run this aggressively. It's a very well-rounded offensive unit and defensive.
And a look at the statistics in the first quarter. Seahawks control the football for over 10 minutes. We're tied at 7. Zorn out of the shotgun. Oh, good hit. Hard hit by Lester Hayes all over Dan Dornick.
Well, I tell you what, when number 33 comes out of the backfield and it's 3rd down, everybody in the house knows Zorn would like to throw the ball to him. Now, Lester Hayes is no fool. He stands back there on his man, but he sees Zorn, and as soon as he comes off the Dornick, he's going to make him feel it. No reception there.
And the punting team has come on. Jeff West, 8th year, out of Cincinnati, back at his 5-yard line. Rick Pruitt is back. West usually gets the good hang time. Here's Pruitt, and apparently called for the fair catch. That time did not get the hang time. A 35-yard punt, and a timeout is called. When we return, it'll be the Raiders to the offense. The 1st and 10 at the 46 for the Los Angeles Raiders. That's Barnwell peeling off. The short setup. The tight end Christensen again. Kerry Justin, who has replaced Keith Simpson at left cornerback, in on the tackle along with John Harris. It's been a rough year for Simpson, and Chuck Knox going with Justin.
Well, I mean, Keith Simpson is a first draft choice. He's a fellow they've counted on a lot. He's had a couple good years up here. For some unexplained reason, he hasn't played up to his ability level. And I tell you, it couldn't happen at a better time for Plunkett, because wide, Mohammed and Branch being hurt, they've got to throw to Christensen.
Here's Marcus Allen. And another Raider first down. And Keith Butler on the tackle.
And let number 32 run more. I mean, his idea is, give me the ball and you won't be sorry. Well, your offensive line has to play well for him to do well also. And last week they didn't have a good game for them. It looks like they're moving people off the line of scrimmage a little better early in this ball game, and that's the result when they do.
Yes, the Raiders were very upset about the play of the offensive line last week, as they just did beat Kansas City 21-20 and had to come from behind to do it. They were down 14-0. First down at the 28. Play action. And Plunkett in a play that I don't think he had in mind, ended up running with the ball.
No way he did. But I'll tell you what a guy does over the years. You get smart. I mean, how many times have you seen a quarterback try to hand the ball off and the back's already gone? But after a while, you say, wait, I'll tell you what, if I don't hand it off, I'm going to follow him because he's going where the most blocking is. And so it didn't take him long. It's almost a reaction. As soon as he missed the handoff, hey, I'll get in and join him. Let's see what I can pick up. He picked up 3 yards, and that's pretty good.
You quarterbacks are so rational.
No, I didn't do that. I sat down, put one knee on the ground, and said, let's go back and try again.
I didn't want to point that out. Here's Allen. And Marcus near the first down marker. Looked like he picked up 5. Michael Jackson, who is apparently all right, in on the stop. Missed a couple of plays because of that knee injury, but he's fine, and they are just short of the first down. 2.5 minutes gone by in the second quarter. We're tied at 7. Here's Jackson, 5th year out of the University of Washington. He recovered a fumble last week that led to a Seattle touchdown. 3rd down and 1. First down. Frank Hawkins, who has seen much action in the last 2 games because of injuries to Marcus Allen and Kenny King. King sitting it out today. And Hawkins, in his 3rd season out of Nevada Reno, has collected the first down. Los Angeles Raiders, record of 5-1. The only loss that stirring game at RFK in Washington 2 weeks ago. Redskins coming from behind to win it 37-35. Look out. Michael Jackson.
I'll tell you what, not too tricky a play, really. Michael Jackson has Marcus Allen in motion. He realizes nobody's on me, folks. Plunkett's got his back turned. He just took off rather than go into his area. They've got a few blitzes designed to get Plunkett. I'm sure one of them is when Marcus is in motion from his offside. Nobody is there. Charlie Hann is trying to make a play to get outside to try and pick up Jackson, but he's got no case.
That's a loss of 10 yards. Michael Jackson, a guy who was moved back to the outside. He was out of place as a middle linebacker last year. And Knox has gone to a 3-4, and it's helped Jackson. And the crowd reacting to the defensive work of the Seahawks. Jeff Bryant with the reps on Marcus Allen.
You know, a lot of people have been questioning Easley. Now, Easley being as fine a player as he has been for the last couple of years, Kenny was absolutely a dominating safety man. Well, the first 4 or 5 games of the year he hasn't been. I asked Chuck Knox. He said, you know, the problem is this is the first game he's been healthy. And I've noticed him coming up late 3 or 4 times. If he gets there on time, it's tough news for the back.
There you see 3rd down and 20. Marcus inside the 15, but short of the first down. John Harris and Ken Easley combine on the tackle.
Here is a situation. It's almost a give up. What kind of play is there when it's got 25 to pick up? We see Marcus Allen running as far as he can. You can see Plunkett back there rooting for him in the background. But they still have to kick a field goal.
And this attempt from 32 yards out. Mark Wilson will hold. Chris Barr, who is 4 for 8 on the season. He has connected 2 of his last 3. And he connects right here. So far from 32. And the Raiders now lead the Seahawks by the score of 10-7. Chris Barr, and the Raiders leading the Seahawks 10-7.
If there's one thing I've never seen the Raiders do, it's hide.
That is true. And here's David Hughes. Beautiful move by Hughes. Flag down. Doki Williams pushed him out of bounds. The return by David Hughes. But there is a penalty marker down.
Number 88 was back there about the 30-yard line, and he and one of the Raiders were having a little discussion. That's where the flag was thrown.
And it is against the Seahawks. Referee Jim Tunney working along with umpire John, linebacker head linesman Sid Seaman, line judge Boy Smith, the back judge Pat Knight.
Illegal block below the waist during the run back, number 88. 15 yards, first down.
And it is, as you mentioned, Pete Metzelaars continuing the official rundown, side judge Gil Mace, and the field judge Johnny Greer. So the ball back at the 20-yard line. First and 10 for the Seahawks, who have been very effective on first down plays, particularly proficient last week against the Chargers. Dan Dorning. Archie Reese on the stop. Quick check of the scoreboard around the NFL. Miami clobbering the Jets at Shea Stadium. Pittsburgh walloping Cleveland. San Francisco winning big over New Orleans, pulling away late. New England over San Diego. Minnesota, a lot of big scores. Minnesota
hasn't been a close game all day.
Another one. Detroit over Chicago, 31-17. A high-scoring close game. St. Louis beating Tampa Bay. Kurt Warner. Run out by Van McElroy. And continuing the scoreboard rundown, Buffalo leading Baltimore in the fourth quarter. And now Dallas in front of Philadelphia as they have jockeyed in the first quarter.
How do you think they'll handle a lead?
I think they prefer to have the opposition where they want them, and that is trailing as late in the game as possible. Kansas City leading the Giants in KC 3-zip. Third down 3 at the 27. And here's Zorn. And he is right at the first down marker. Depends where they spotted Bob Nelson.
He's got a first down because they started at the 20. You remember that. And now Reggie McKenzie makes a fine play, but he trips on his heel just as he's got a play on Nelson, or he'd have picked up 10, 15 more.
So Zorn has run well in this first half, and it's a first down. Jim Zorn has picked up 22 yards, 3 carries.
At important times. That's
Chuck Knox looking for consistency out of number 10. Jim Zorn, a quarterback who has been exciting but up and down, erratic but has big playability. Off the play action.
That's a pattern that Jim Zorn, when he's hot, will hit 9 out of 10 times. But he started fast early in the year. In the last couple ball games, he hasn't thrown the sidelines as well as you'd expect Jim Zorn to throw them. He can throw the sidelines. He's got a strong arm, and for whatever reason, you get just a little out of sync. You start throwing the ball a little before the receiver comes out of his move. For whatever reason, they haven't been as effective in the last couple ball games. I don't know whether it's Largent being out of there or what.
He was looking for Byron Walker, the man who has replaced Largent. Steve sitting it out with a knee. Zorn is now 1 for 3, 8 yards. That's been it. Seahawks have been very effective on the ground. Here's Kurt Warner. Oh, a brilliant move on Lester Hayes.
Lester Hayes is looking. It's like, I know he was here. But when? Where did he go? All right, 2nd 10. You see Hendricks is trying to do what he can. He did touch him. If they start playing two-handed touch, he'll be a lot easier to get down.
And the crowd reacting with the replay put up on the big screen here at the Kingdome. But it's a 3rd down and 5 for Seattle. We're second quarter, 7 minutes remaining. Raiders lead at 10-7. Zorn able to stand in and overthrows Paul Johns. And a flag is down.
I'm almost certain it's holding because Jim Zorn never went down if it wasn't roughing the passer, and it wasn't. Got to be holding.
is the call against Seattle.
Holding, right guard, decline, 4th down.
The right guard is Robert Pratt.
They're going to need to throw the ball more sharply than they have early in the ball game, and Knox knows it. He's running. Warner's doing his job, but the receivers and the quarterback have been given enough time. They're going to have to do theirs.
There's the punt. Oh! A penalty marker thrown down as Brett Pruitt was walloped.
They may rule that they did not give him a fair opportunity to catch that punt. And I tell you, it was very well timed, but I don't think he gave him quite enough room. You can, well, I don't know. No, they only get one look at it. Pruitt, who has had 2 sensational days in a row returning punts, they know they better not give him much room. That's Dave Brown. Perfectly timed, it appeared. Let's see what the officials say.
Dave Brown getting downfield very quickly.
And what they're doing right now is conferring, because I think that penalty was thrown because they didn't think he gave him enough room. But in the replay, you can see a lot of the officials might have seen it differently, and they're taking another look. They want to get away from the action, make a decision collectively, and I think that's been an improvement throughout the league in the past couple of years, that they do on occasion change calls.
First reaction in watching it develop live was that there was not enough time, and I look at the replay, I think it was a perfectly timed move by Brown. Let's see.
They didn't have that benefit, though.
Illegal use of the hands during the punt by the receiving team. The ball is recovered by Seattle. The penalty is declined. 1st down.
So it was, according to the officials, perfect timing by Brown, the call on the Raiders.
I think the whole commotion was the fact that they had not clarified what the call was. Everybody went around missing motion, and they assumed that he didn't give him enough room, as we did up here. That wasn't the call at all. It was declined. Number 37, Eric Lane, recovered, and it's 1st and 10 Seahawks.
So Eric Lane, the backup running back, off the recovery, and the Seahawks 1st down at the Raider 24-yard line. Warner. He is exciting.
It just looks like so often now all these great running backs that are coming out of college, you wonder why Penn State started off the season so slowly. Maybe they didn't realize just how good this fellow was and how much they had lost. But he has come on. He and Dickerson and Marcus Allen, the great running backs right now, provide a dimension that I don't think we've seen in this game as we see it today.
Picked up 8 yards, stopped by Reese and Millet. 2nd down and 2 at the 16. The lone deep back is Warner. Looking for the 1st down. That time Hendricks right there.
Don't let him get both hands on you there, fella, though, or you will go nowhere.
Just under 6 minutes remaining in this 1st half.
He doesn't take to embarrassment lightly, and a couple plays ago he got embarrassed a little bit. This time he manhandles the tackle, does the same thing with the ball carrier.
Ted Hendricks, who goes 6'7" and 235 pounds. He came up with that big play last week, blocking the field goal attempt of Nick Lowry that would have won it for Kansas City. 3rd down and 3. And Dornick should have had it.
Same man, 3rd down. How many times have they gone to Dornick? Every time. Every ball that's been thrown in the 3rd down situation has been thrown to Dan Dornick. One was completed, one was deflected, and that one was dropped. Now, you don't see number 33 do that very often.
So here is Norm Johnson in his 2nd season out of UCLA. He has been the hottest field goal kicker in the National Football League. And this is a 35-yard attempt. Oh! And chasing it down, going to try to throw it. That's 20. That looks like one out of the Seahawk playbook from several years ago.
Would have been fine, but he should have dropped the ball. I know it's hard to ask a receiver to drop a pass, but when Zorn was in trouble, he was just trying to find anybody out there that he could get rid of the ball to, that they could get the ball back to the line of scrimmage. He did find Dornick, and he made a pretty good play out of it, but they had no case once that center was over his head.
Channel 5, Chicago.
Sellout crowd, Kingdome, Seattle, Washington. Marv Albert along with John Brody. Raiders leading the Seahawks 10-7, 5:13 left in this first half. And another look at the high snap from the center, Blair Bush. And do you know Jim Zorn is back under the 20,000 yardage mark off this pass? It's a loss on the play.
Well, sometimes you assume that if the holder's real alert, he can jump up in the air and save it. That baby was about 8 feet high. He had no chance to do so.
He is minus yardage on the day. He's down to 19,987. He came in only 6 yards short of 20,000. All right, first down at the 32-yard line. Raiders operate with Plunkett at quarterback. Play action for Allen, and Plunkett puts it up. It is picked off. Kerry Justin off the pass intended for Calvin Muhammad. Kerry Justin in his 6th year out of Oregon State.
And the reason the fans are all so excited, they follow football pretty closely. Now, this is a man that's starting a ball game for the first time this year. He's coming in playing cornerback, trying to handle Muhammad all by himself. He does so. Beautiful interception. In his first start, he picks off an interception, and they've got the ball back.
Jim Plunkett picked off for the 11th time this year, and the Seahawks first down back at the 20-yard line. Carry stopped by Archie Reese. And Connie Kawhi has come in at center, replacing Blair Bush. We're told that Bush is not hurt. Kawhi in his 2nd season out of Hawaii, who was signed as a free agent last year. There he is, number 62, over the football.
I think Chuck Knox is just a little hot right at the moment. Decided to make a temporary change.
Hard hit on Hughes. Bob Nelson, inside linebacker on the right, number 51, involved on that stop, and some words between the Raiders and the Seahawks.
You see a man, you mentioned Kawhi is in the ball game, number 62. Doing a pretty good job on Archie Reese, number 74 for the Raiders. I'm sure it gets a little active in there, eh, big fella?
And it's a 3rd down and 4 at the 26. Raiders lead at 10-7. Marcus Allen connecting with Todd Christensen on the halfback option pass. Dornick took one in from 1, and a 32-yard field goal. That's been it. Here's Zorn unleashing.
Zorn got away with something that time. I tell you, he's having a center problem. One throws him a little too high, the other one a little too low. That one bounced back there, and when you're in the shotgun, you have to take your eye off the defensive secondary. Now it all looks like a bunch of mumbo jumbo. If the ball is not up in your face when it's centered, you have no chance.
And a punting situation. Jeff West back at his 10-yard line. To Greg Pruitt, who says fair catch, and drops it, but recovers. It's been a rugged day for Pruitt, who is one of the best in the NFL. He got jarred by Dave Brown last time, and now drops the fair catch. First down at the 36, Marcus Allen. And a penalty flag thrown in the secondary. So Allen trying the right side. Raiders. And now the final, Buffalo knocking off Baltimore 30-7.
Baltimore started fine, but Buffalo's just a little too strong. You know, as fast as this game started offensively, with both teams starting off with fine drives and touchdowns early in the game, it has turned into a turnover defensive struggle. It's still a lot of hard hitting.
Holding during the run, number 46, 10 yards, still first down.
But it's been a little bit sloppy. I think sometimes the intensity creates sloppiness rather than good, solid play, and both offenses have staggered a bit.
That hold called on the tight end, Todd Christensen. First down and 20, back at the 26. Plunkett swings it to Allen. Allen to the 30. Out to the 31-yard line. Kerry Justin came up with the intercept a moment ago. And Bruce Schultz combining on the tackle. And just under 3 remaining in this first half. It's the Raiders 10 and the Seahawks 7. 5-yard advance, second down and 15.
That group has a lot of number 1 draft choices in it. That defensive group for the Seahawks, they've got 5 altogether.
And up front, 3 number 1s, Jacob Green, Mano Tuiasosopo, and Jeff Bryant working out of that 3-4. Plunkett going deep, again looking for Muhammad, and broken up. John Harris, number 44, able to break it up.
John Harris was actually beaten when he made his break. Muhammad made a fine break, but Harris with great speed was able to recover and had the play as a center fielder would from the time it was thrown. The ball looped just a little bit. Muhammad didn't realize it. And you can't do that with a man at the speed of Harris, easily trying to help out, getting back there. He's playing strong safety, remember. He comes back to see if he can be of any assistance. 6'3", 210 pounds. With the speed he's got, he can be assistance to a lot of people.
Jim Plunkett again looking deep for Calvin Muhammad, who apparently is all right. He left earlier, and it's Muhammad starting in place of the injured Cliff Branch.
Safety blitz.
Plunkett looking for the first down. He has it, and some more as he's brought down by Harris and Jackson.
We can see it. You can see it up here, and the quarterback can see it from underneath that center very easily. He saw a slight crack. When you're in a safety blitz, you've got no linebackers, you've got no defensive backs, you've got nobody to make the play. He got through a crack, picked up a first down, kept the drive alive. Now he's got to start throwing it a little better.
Bring out your best.
LA Raiders, record of 5-1, leading the Seattle Seahawks by the score of 10-7. 20-yard pickup on that scamper by Plunkett, and with 2 minutes remaining, first half, Raiders first down at midfield. Plunkett goes the middle. Malcolm Barnwell to the 30 for the first down. Keith Butler making the stop on number 80 in his 3rd season out of Virginia Union.
Nice play by the offensive line there, Marv. When you give a quarterback 5 seconds to throw the ball, Plunkett put 3 fakes on the defensive linemen, 2 on the linebackers, and still had a chance to pick up Barnwell.
Raiders in a hurry-up offense. First down at the 30. Marcus Allen. He was rocked, picked up a yard. Shelton Robinson, linebacker, on the inside, along with the nose tackle, Mano Tuiasosopo, combining on the stop. We'll be back in a moment. Pull one out of the arsenal.
Coaches and quarterbacks are a little reluctant to use a running back throwing the ball, and we never go to it enough. I'll tell you what, because we're scared of being there once too often. I would.
All right, Plunkett unleashes. Calvin Muhammad that time off the short-range pass play, and Keith Simpson back in the lineup.
Yeah, Plunkett hurt a couple more defensive linebackers or linemen. I'll tell you, when they hit him, it's harder on them than him.
First down was picked up as Simpson made the tackle. And let's see who that injured player is. Looks to be Michael Jackson. A timeout call will be right.
Jim Plunkett is quarterback of the Los Angeles Raiders. In his 13 years in the NFL, he's known great moments of victory and periods of despair. But Jim Plunkett always kept trying. He never gave up.
Hello. It's a lesson I learned from my parents, and they taught me never to quit. You see, both of my parents were blind. That never stopped them. They raised a family. They gave me a chance to be whatever my vision could make me.
As a United Way volunteer, Jim teaches others the lessons that his parents taught him.
Sometimes the mere sharing of the beauty in a single flower can open a new experience for someone, even if they never see it. Perhaps through people who cannot see, we can all come to understand and learn the lesson that life is what you make it, and what you make it is up to you. You know, thanks to you, it really does work for all of us, the United Way.
The preceding announcement was furnished as a public service by the National Football League. That's Michael Jackson, who was shaken up earlier, and this time involved in chasing down Jim Plunkett, and it is Jackson hurt once again.
All you do know is that he has a lot of pain, because we're not going to try to play doctor. He is a very instrumental part of their defense, and to lose him is a big blow. Been playing very well all year long, and it doesn't look like he's going to play anymore today.
Seahawks have a very difficult schedule. They have faced only quality ball clubs to this point. Aside from Kansas City, they did beat KC by the score of 17-13, beat the Jets, beat San Diego.
And now you'd say, hey, it's about time for a breather, right? Wrong. Now they go Raiders, Pittsburgh, Raiders. Now out of the first 9 games, they've got 8 teams that are going to probably be in the playoffs. And I'll tell you the funny thing, and Chuck Knox says, don't think our players don't know it. He says, and the important thing to us is if we can be over 500 in our first 9 games, we're going to be in the playoffs too. He thinks his team is ready. He says, I'm not building for the future. He said, that future's a little overrated. He said, a lot of us don't have futures when we build for them. And he says, this group is ready to win right now, and we think we're preparing them.
And Chuck Knox has been the NFL's designated builder after revamping Buffalo and the Los Angeles Rams, and appears to be on the way here in Seattle.
Let's remember, when he went to the Rams, they won the division championship for 5 years in a row when he got there. They didn't wait a couple years. In Buffalo, he started and they were so decimated that it took him a couple years, but it's not going to take him long. Formation, Marv, that they went to Christensen early in the game.
It's Hawkins in motion, and here's Allen. Marcus Allen inside the 15, run out by Shelton Robinson, number 57. Second year out of North Carolina, and we're under a minute remaining in this first half. Greg Gaines, second-year pro out of Tennessee, replacing Michael Jackson. As we mentioned earlier, John, this is the area where the Seahawks are weak in the linebacking core. The backups are 3 rookies and a second-year man in Gaines, who just came on.
That's right. They could at least afford to have an injury where they had it.
Tripped up by Kenny Easley. Clock is stopped with 26 seconds remaining. And a timeout called by the Raiders, so they're down to 1 timeout remaining. Having mechanical problems last week, throwing from off the back foot, not stepping up, following through.
Hey, we all fall into those little traps. I mentioned Zorn's timing wasn't as good on his outside patterns. Plunkett looks like his timing is pretty good right now.
All right, here is a 3rd down and 4. Time, and he fires end zone. Touchdown, Todd Christensen. Kerry Justin was beaten by Christensen, or perhaps fooled and missed time as that ball was thrown over the head of Justin.
Well, I don't know what the specifics were, but I do know when you have a defender inside the receiver and you've got about 2 feet to go before the ball is out of the end zone, it's a great play if your receiver comes down with the football. You see, Christensen looks to have no play. Plunkett threw it the only place it could be thrown, just over Terry's reach, and that's one of the few times you see height make a big difference.
Right, Christensen at 6'3", and Justin at 5'11". And Barr drilled throws it. So Todd Christensen, the pass receiver from Marcus Allen earlier on a 19-yard hookup. And now Plunkett able to connect for Christensen, his 6th touchdown.
Way to go! I'm glad the language is nice and safe so far. We've heard a lot of players' voices.
Zachary Dixon on the return. Jeff Barnes making the stop of Dixon. Yes, our sideline microphone's very active, but these are clean guys, John.
That's right. I've been trying to tell you that, Marv, for the last 5 weeks. I'm glad you finally agree.
Well, of course, the mic is on the Seattle sideline.
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
Just kidding. They're trying to trap me into indicating that I feel the Raiders are a dirty ball club, and you know I've pulled away from that.
Good.
I feel they're an intimidating, a very solid, intimidating ball club.
I'll settle for that.
The crowd does not appreciate the fact that Chuck Knox prefers to run out the clock rather than go for the bomb, but it can cost you here in the final seconds, and so a very ineffective first half for Jim Zorn.
Timed, and Plunkett had put it within about a 6-inch area. When you have a 6-inch margin for error and you do complete it for a touchdown, that's a little beyond.
Jim Zorn is 2 for 8, minus 6 yards in the first half, and the kickoff by Norm Johnson. Line drives it, and Cleve Montgomery will stay right there. He actually was screened by one of the officials, and they'll bring it out to the 20-yard line. And a look at the statistics in the first half. As you see, the Seahawks had the football for 16 and a half minutes.
I think the turnover that's most impressive is the Raiders, again, turned the ball over 3 times. They had no turnovers themselves. They're still 10 points ahead. So if you talk about a team that thrives on adversity, these guys put themselves in a hole, create a way to get the ball back, and their defense does it time and again.
Marv Albert, John Brody from the Kingdome in Seattle. Underway, 3rd quarter. See the stats on Plunkett. Has a first down at the 20. That's Hawkins in motion. And this is Marcus Allen. 3-yard advance. Keith Butler, the right inside linebacker, on the stop. The report on Michael Jackson, the outside linebacker on the right, it's his left knee. He was taken off by a stretcher late 2nd quarter. He's been taken to the hospital for x-rays.
And I just hope it gets better.
So Greg Gaines is in on the outside on the right. Schultz, Robinson, Butler, and Gaines are the linebackers. 2nd down and 7. And it's Allen to the outside. And a flag thrown. Off the fumble, Kenny Easley.
This may be an exceptionally costly penalty. It looks like it was a face mask. He was the only man in the area. He did cough the ball up. But that flag was thrown right where the ball carrier was. I'm not sure what the...
All right, here's Jim Tunney.
Personal foul. Crackback. Number 27 declined.
So the Seahawks maintain possession. Here's another look.
And I was just about to say, this is the kind of ball game where Marcus Allen will have his opportunity to carry the ball a lot more. A 10-point lead in the second half. Little domination at the line of scrimmage by both offensive teams. First thing that happens, turnover.
That crackback called on running back Frank Hawkins, and turnover number 4 committed by the Raiders. Let's see if the Seahawks can take advantage. First down at the 21. Kurt Warner inside the 20. Rod Martin there to make the stop. So Zorn goes right to Warner, the rookie out of Penn State, 1st round draft pick, 3rd player overall taken in the draft, and the leading rusher in the AFC.
Warner, actually Zorn goes to the bench, Marv, and Chuck goes to Zorn,
yes,
and says give it to Warner, and that seems to be the way all the National Football League teams go.
2nd down and 7. And Zorn goes sideline. It was underthrown.
All right, now that's what we were talking about earlier. Throwing the ball to the outsides, he's got himself in a bad rhythm. Now, when he threw this ball to the outside, he was moving back on his back foot. Now, if you're throwing the ball to the sideline, you cannot generate enough power by throwing the ball that way. However, any way you do it, you've got to practice it during the week. You've got to get your timing with all your receivers, not just Largent. This ball was underthrown. And there's no reason for it. It's just that we get a little careless, all of us, playing quarterback, and you lose the things that you do easily.
Yeah, that question was raised during the week. Has Zorn developed some bad habits? Now he does not have his favorite receiver, Steve Largent, who's out with the knee. And Zorn is 2 for 9. Here's Zorn stepping up. And Zorn on the run. And Zorn takes it up.
Turned into the big ones as far as the Seahawks are concerned and actually kept them in the ball game. You've got Zorn back here. Dan Dornick, number 33. You see him right here? He's trying to help Zorn. Now, the linebackers have both gone out to try and double on the outsides. When you don't have any linebackers left in the middle of the field, you give a fellow like Zorn a chance to get up underneath the pass rush. He's going to pick up some yards, and he scores.
There's Norm Johnson. So Jim Zorn, not able to do it in the air, has done it on the ground, and Seattle trailing by only 3. 17-14. Good kick. Here's Greg Pruitt. Out to the 10. An excellent coverage by the Seahawks, led by Bruce Schultz.
There's no mystery to this game. It is a very emotional one, and this play right here is the reason these guys on that special team were as active as they were. You see Zorn's viewpoint. He sees nobody open because there is no one open. He finds a way to get around Bill Pickel, 71, the nose tackle from Rutgers, who we have seen very little today. His offensive line's given him plenty of protection. He's not been able to find any receivers open, and he's going to have to do that in order to beat them in the long run. That's 2 opportunistic touchdowns for the Seahawks.
First down, 13-yard line. Hawkins and Allen, the running backs. And Plunkett able to get out of trouble and fires for Muhammad. It's picked up again. Dave Brown on the interception.
The Raiders will not change their philosophy. You know, 2 things going in. They're going to play tough defense, and they're going to throw the ball down the field 40 or 50 yards 5 or 6 different times during the ball game. They've been effective as long as their franchise has been in existence doing it. Plunkett does it time and again. They win ball games late. They get a lot of balls picked off. Here's another example, but it's pretty hard to second-guess a team that does it week in, week out, and overcomes adversity the way they do.
Zorn first down at the Seattle 32 following another Raider turnover. And Kurt Warner stacked up. Matt Millen, Howie Long involved on the tackle. There's Dave Brown. Came up with his 2nd interception of the season. He's been playing very well. In fact, opposition has not tested his area. That time he was involved in double coverage on Muhammad.
He mentioned before the ball game, had a chance to sit and talk to him for a minute. He said, you know, it's the first time since I left the Steelers, where he was his first year, that I have the feeling that we are contenders. And he says it's a wonderful feeling, and it really pumps you up if you've been in this game 7 or 8 years.
2nd down and 8 at the 34. By Rod Martin, who was all over Kurt Warner. Rod Martin, one of the underrated players in the NFL. Raiders feel he belongs in the Pro Bowl, and they may get their wish this season.
He was elected captain of their football team, and that usually goes to a fellow that has played consistently outstanding over a few years. And I'll tell you, with this group of talent, for him to be the man they picked, Ted Hendricks has been the captain for the past couple of years. It just shows you to be in his league is applaud enough.
Loss on the play. Back to a 3rd down 13 at the 29. And let's see what Zorn can do. He's 2 for 9. And he is pummeled. Big rush by the Raiders.
Okay, we didn't mention that we haven't mentioned the young players defensively in the line for the Raiders, but on that occasion, all 4 of them almost beat Zorn back to throw. Greg Townsend, Bill Pickel, Archie Reese, they're all sitting right in his lap before he could find anybody.
So much for the Seahawk series. Now Blair Bush is back in for the snap. He had been replaced by Connie Kawhi. Bush hurt his back earlier. And here's West. Rick Pruitt. Fair catch again.
And that's all Blair Bush was in there to do, was to center the ball. Don't hit anybody. After he centered it, he walked very slowly off the field. So that's about it for him.
26-year-old Tom Flores took over from John Madden, took the Raiders to the victory in Super Bowl 15, beating the Eagles. And his Raiders leading the Seahawks 17-14. Raiders back to the offense. This is Hawkins across the 40-yard line. Frank Hawkins. And his 3rd year out of Nevada Reno, picking up 4 on the play. Greg Gaines, who came on for the injured Michael Jackson, combining with Keith Butler on the stop. So it'll be a 2nd down and 6. And the ball spotted at the 41. Well, the Orioles looking to wrap it in 5, leading the Phillies 2-0 in the 4th inning.
Every game's been close and good.
Change of direction by Allen. So Marcus Allen hemmed in.
You generally tell a back, Marv, don't do that. That'll get everybody injured, okay? That'll get your lineman picked off. That'll get you hurt. We'll get a big loss on the play. We'll have a 2nd and 16. But you can't do that in Marcus Allen's case, because he was headed for a certain 7 or 8 yard loss, turned it into back to the line of scrimmage. And so in his case, you just let him steal on his own, so to speak.
It's an instinctive move, and you really have to let the guy do what he wants. That time he was trapped by Gaines and then was stopped by Easley.
That's right.
3rd down and 4. All down by Gregory Johnson. That's Johnson, number 27, in his 3rd year out of Oklahoma State. Plunkett showed the ball as if he were about to hand off.
Yeah, but what he did is he didn't hide it from the offside. Generally, Plunkett's pretty nifty. He keeps it hidden from the ones he wants to keep it hidden from. Sometimes he doesn't speak too nifty. It's not right there. But I'll tell you what, that's one of the very rare times he gets caught trying to be tricky.
And here is Ray Guy back at his 20, getting set to punt for the first time this afternoon. Paul Johns, in his 3rd season out of Tulsa, returning last week from the knee injury. And he's the deep man. This is Johns, 25-yard line. He has speed. He's Paul Johns. Johns going 74 yards for the score.
Yards on a punt return. It's something that you very rarely see happen to the Raiders. Right now, Chuck Knox's group is leading this ball game with mirrors. They have had 2 very big key 3rd down runs by Zorn to keep drives alive and 1 for a touchdown. Now here's a punt return. It hasn't been their offense. It's been a whole collection of people that just have refused to give up.
Johnson looking to make it 21-17. And he does. Paul Johns with his first ever touchdown on a punt return. Wait a moment, a flag is thrown. Penalty by Parker down.
You never know exactly why, Marv, but I know a fella that's played as long as Lyle Alzado, and we saw he and Bill Paccal in the discussion with Howie Long. These guys are playing good football. They're still on the losing end. You know, once in a while, it's not a bad idea to create a little turmoil. You're away from home. Create a little problem. Get your own team juiced up. Get them back in the ball game.
75 Los Angeles, number 70 Seattle. All setting after the play.
All right, so the point after by Johnson is good, and the Seahawks lead the Raiders 21-17.
For the past two.
Greg Pruitt. Once again, tremendous coverage by the Seahawks, and this has been their specialty.
Isn't it funny how whenever a team is really having to go at you and the emotion level's up and the game is changed around a little bit, one thing that is mostly emotions, and Rusty Tillman, who's the special teams coach for the Seahawks, knows this better than anybody because he was with the Redskins for a number of years when they were outstanding. We take a look at a play like this by Paul Jones on a special team. That gives all those guys a little pump up. Now they go down on a kickoff, keep them inside the 15.
And they are officially calling it a 75-yard punt return by Johns. First down at the 12. There's Plunkett looking for Christensen. Hitting Easley. Easley inside the 10.
Is hurting, Marv.
Third time that this man, Jim Plunkett, has been intercepted. The return by Easley for 30 yards, and here are the Seahawks with yet another Raider turnover.
Well, you knew he was going for Christensen the whole way, but when he threw the ball, he could not throw it. There was no lane. He didn't have a place to throw it to an outlet. He made a mistake. He would like to have had the ball back. All quarterbacks do it. But he had to throw the ball out of bounds. Didn't do it. Easley came up with a big turnover, but he is hurt.
So it's Easley, Brown, and Justin picking off Plunkett. And we'll have a report on Easley when we return after this word. Seattle has overtaken the LA Raiders in a weird ball game when you consider the way Jim Zorn has been going. He's still minus yardage.
I know. It doesn't matter much when you've got 48 others that are having a good day.
Second and goal. Lots of time. Oh, he tried to drill it right through, and Neely had it picked off by Mike Davis. Paul Johns, number 85, the intended receiver.
Mike Davis is a very, very sharp defensive safety. He, that time, was going for an interception from the time the ball was centered. He almost had it.
Right here, we pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network.
WMAQ-TV, Channel 5, Chicago.
John Brody from the Kingdome in Seattle, Washington. As you see, 8 minutes left, third quarter. It's been a wild third. Seahawks with 14 points already and lead it by the score of 21-17. A timeout has been called. A third down, third and goal from the 5 is upcoming. We'll be right back. All third and goal at the 5-yard line.
Biggest play of the ball game. They have to get 7 points or they're not going to be able to handle it.
And Zorn in trouble, just throws it away. And the Raiders contending that there was no one in sight, but the intended receiver, Paul Johns, was dumped right at the goal line.
The Raiders have played real good defense. If you take a look at it, after the first drive that the Seahawks put on them in the first quarter, you take a look at those stats, 2 for 12. They can be a little misleading, but when Zorn has not thrown the ball well, he's been high, he's been off base, there haven't been a lot of receivers open. Maybe it's because Largent is out, okay? But them having to settle for a field goal here will keep their lead to only 7 points. and the defense is totally dominating them.
And it's a 23-yard attempt by Norm Johnson. So it's good. And the Seahawks now lead it by 7. 24-17 with 7 minutes and 50 seconds remaining in the third quarter. 23-yard field goal by Johnson. So Johnson is now 8 for 11 on the season, and he's been a hot man. He's connected 18 of his last 22. His previous attempt, you'll recall the bad snap. Well, NBC Sports is pleased to announce the acquisition of the Skins game, a unique golf tournament where Jack Nicklaus, Tom Watson, Arnold Palmer, Gary Player compete for $360,000. You're not a player in one of the contestants. You can't lose on that one. And the kickoff by Johnson. Clee Montgomery on the return, and again, excellent coverage within the 10-yard line by the Seahawks. Eric Lane, who has been terrific on special team play, that time leading the assault.
You almost get the feeling that the Seahawks say to their offense, go out there and hold them, and we've got this ball game. Everything they do defensively seems to be effective right now, and special teams have just taken the whole flow away from the Raiders. And in 7.5 minutes, 17 points have been registered for the Seahawks.
1st and 10 at the 10-yard line. Calvin Muhammad out to the left. That's Hawkins in motion. And Marcus Allen. There was a mix-up on the handoff as Plunkett made contact up high on Allen, and it jarred him for an instant.
There's no one immune to the effect of momentum. When it starts turning, everybody is affected by it. You can tell the whole flow has changed in the second half. A couple of pickoffs, great punt return, and it gets the offense to really starting to think about themselves.
John, do you believe Kenny Easley is in there at strong safety?
Yeah, I saw him. I hardly believe it.
Oh, here's Allen. Game tackle, Keith Butler with the hard hit. There's Butler, 53. He's had an outstanding game. Kenny Easley, who left moments ago with an ankle injury, is right there, has not missed a beat.
Well, you know, when you have a chronic injury like that, the pain is severe when it's there, but when it's been injured and it's loose and you get the feeling back, he probably knows I can't do anything more to it, so let's have a go with it. And back he is.
3rd down and 3. Plunkett running out of the pocket has the first down, and wisely goes down at the 28-yard line. Greg Gaines covering up on the play. So Jim Plunkett out of the Jim Zorn playbook, able to pick up the first down.
Jim Plunkett does not back off. He can have things go worse over a short period of time than anybody I've seen. Now watch Kenny Easley. He's trying to fly down the field with Malcolm Barnwell. He knows that Plunkett is just as liable to go down the field 50 or 60 yards again as he was the last couple times. But getting back to Jim, he does not back off. When you put a challenge up there, he's big enough to accept it. And although he's had a few interceptions, he's liable to come back and beat you.
And that one was nearly picked off Todd Christensen in a wrestling match. Gaines and Robinson on the double coverage. So that's the 6th reception of the day for Christensen, who has caught 2 touchdown passes.
Well, I'll tell you, Plunkett was ready for the play. He read the blitz. He read this man, number 45, Kenny Easley, coming in fast. He knew, hey, my out guy is Christensen. Where is he? He finally finds him. Excellent reception.
2nd down and 1 for the Raiders at their 37-yard line. Hawkins, the lone D-back. Allen lined up back behind the tight end. Little shovel move. Marcus Allen, first down. Shelton, Robinson, and Keith Butler combine on the stop. So the toss by Plunkett, leading leading to the first down picked up by the Raiders out at the 49-yard line.
I think that Plunkett not only throws the ball for longer receptions than anybody in the game, but also shorter. He can throw some of the shortest passes that are effective of anybody I've ever seen. That's because he spreads people out. His backs stand around the pile looking for piecemeal, and he gave them one.
Plunkett looking for Dokie Williams and underthrows. Dokie Williams, the rookie from UCLA, who has terrific speed and can jump. Caught a touchdown last week, and he was going down the left sideline, but the pass was thrown short. Second down and 10 at the 49. This crowd is really alive. Capacity crowd at the Kingdome. Better than 65,000 on hand, and here's the wave. Bumped as he followed through, and he has a 3rd and 10 upcoming.
You know, if you take a look at Jim Plunkett, we mentioned earlier in the ball game, the more guys get hurt trying to hit him than he does when they make contact. Take a look at Plunkett. He's unorthodox. Both feet go all which way. He lets you throw him wherever you want. But I tell you, the man has some ability, and he just stays in there the whole ball game, and in his own little unorthodox way makes things happen.
And the referee, Jim Tunney, helping Plunkett up. Well, Plunkett, a solid 6'2", 215 pounds. And looking at a 3rd down and 10. And he has the first down with Cleve Montgomery. Keith Simpson on the tackle, a first down for the Los Angeles Raiders.
That completion just quieted down the house. You take a man, we mentioned Plunkett, here's the deep secondary. He's trying to get to number 28, Cleve Montgomery. The ball is thrown right on the break, thrown right where it has to be. Plunkett's thrown several interceptions, but he also has excellent timing in critical situations.
Jim Plunkett is only 2 yards short of the 20,000 career mark. Jim Zorn was within that range, but he's lost yardage. And here's Allen looking to throw again. He couldn't find anyone, so he takes it himself and has a first down. Jeff Bryant able to race downfield, combining with Keith Butler to make the stop. A 17-yard pickup. He is so dangerous when he cocks that arm.
Marv, the reluctance you generally have when you give it to a halfback to throw an option pass is that when you give him a chance to throw a pass, he wants to prove to everybody that he's a good thrower, okay? Well, in this case, not only does he see no one open, we get the wide field, but he also sees an open space to run in. Now, the decision not to throw the ball, to make a decision that quick, take off, go to the open space, I give him a lot of chances to throw.
First down at the 20.
First real big play we've seen Jacob Green make. Just kind of split guard and tackle. Slipped up on Plunkett before he could let his receivers get into their pattern. And remember again, the Raiders, their whole philosophy, give your quarterback enough time to let your receivers get down the field. They didn't on that occasion, and that's the result.
Second sack of the day for the Seahawks. First for Green. 2nd and 16. Pruitt with acceleration inside the 20-yard line. So Greg Pruitt running from scrimmage for the first time today. Manu Tuiasosopo on the stop, an 8-yard advance for Pruitt.
You know, you'd have thought a guy like Greg Pruitt, who's been a great back for so long, you couldn't affect his confidence, all right? But he said that long run that he made 96 or 7 yards against Washington just kind of reconfirmed in his own mind that he still had it as a running back, and this is the first chance he's had to show it.
There's Tuiasosopo, number 74. 3rd down and 7 at the Seattle 17. Fell down. Green and Tuiasosopo
expect it to happen then. There was a mix-up in the backfield for the Raiders. I actually didn't think they were set for a full second. I thought they'd throw a flag, but they didn't. But watch Plunkett coming out of here. Tried to get out. Dave Dalby steps right on his foot. He cannot get out. Whenever you see a quarterback fall coming out from the center, it's almost 100% of the time the center stepping on his foot.
And a long-range field goal from 42 yards away being attempted by Chris Barr. And it is good. So Barr drilling it through. He hit from 32 yards earlier, and now from 42. A minute and 19 remaining. Third quarter in what has developed into a dandy. It's a 24-20 Seattle Seahawks lead.
Well, remember, the Raiders do have a habit of coming back. They hang right in there. The way the defense for Seattle has dominated the Raiders over the past couple quarters, you figure if their offense could play a little bit, they'd be fine. But take a look at this man, Willie Brown. We've talked about Lester Hayes. We've talked about all the fine cornerbacks that the Raiders have. He's the man that instructs them. He's the man that wrote the book on how to cover one-on-one. When he lined up, and he did so often, everybody in the house knew it's going to be Willie Brown against your best receiver all day long. You can take your best shots year in, year out. He ended up in the Pro Bowl. I've tried him several times, gone broke most of them.
Yes, you and Willie had a couple of interesting moments.
Well, we'd line Gene Washington up against him every week, and they'd say fine, hi, and every time you'd beat him, he'd congratulate you. But it's generally the last time he spoke to you all day long.
Very sincere congratulations, I'm sure. The kickoff by Barr. David Hughes, penalty marker down, 15, and rammed out across the 20-yard line, but a flag thrown. Otis McKinney providing the coverage. While we await the call, well, here it is against the Raiders. Check of the scoreboard. Dallas in a very unconventional ball game for the Cowboys this season. Way in front. Third quarter, Atlanta leads the LA Rams 21-14. Third quarter, Cincinnati and Denver involved in a good one, tied at 17 in the fourth. And the Giants in Kansas City even in the third.
Offside, 38 on the kicking team. 5-yard re-kick.
So they'll do it again. Chester Willis, a member of the Raider kicking team, on the call. Well, Len Berman told you earlier of the Eddie Murray home run and the Orioles in front of the Phillies 5-0 in the fifth.
Taking 3 in a row at Veterans Stadium is no small task. I'd say that's deserving it.
Birds looking to wrap it in 5. Chris Barr getting set to kick again.
Well, field goal position is what the Seahawks need, and this penalty may have just given them an added opportunity to get some of that. Their offense has not shown that they can move the ball. You remember how well Warner was moving it early in the first quarter and some of the second. He hasn't been given an opportunity to run the ball much, and when he has, it hasn't been effective. The Raiders know if their defense keeps playing the way they can, they get a couple breaks themselves, it will change.
Raiders coming at 5-1. The only loss to the Redskins. They've beaten Cincinnati, Houston, Miami, Denver, and Kansas City. Low kick by Barr. Zachary Dixon out to the 15. Oh, look out. And again a flag down. Zachary Dixon going across the field.
That's thrown in the clipping area.
No question about it. Well, we had a 75-yard punt return earlier this quarter, which tied a Seattle Seahawks club record. Paul Johns running it in for the score from 75 yards away.
We have also had 3 Seattle penalties that have totaled more than 100 yards.
Personal foul during the run back, blocking below the waist, number 35, half the distance to the goal line.
Well, it's the kamikaze special team man, Don Dufek, called for the personal foul.
At a very bad time.
Seahawks 1st and 10 at their 11-yard line. 56 seconds left, third quarter. And Zorn with time. And it knocked out of his hands. And let's see the Raiders. That's a safety. It's called a safety. Apparently one of the Seahawks was able to recover. Well, we've seen everything here this afternoon.
Yeah, you got to take a look. We've been pretty tough on Zorn, but who can throw in this little vacuum? You can see their defensive line is putting such pressure on Zorn that they're coming from all angles. Howie Long got his hand on Zorn just as he was in the motion to throw. Fortunately, one of his own men caught the ball, but for a safety, that puts the ball game within a field goal reach. A whole quarter to go, and if the Seahawks don't create some sort of offensive movement, they are history.
It was the right guard, Robert Pratt, who was able to come up with that loose football, and then he was hammered down.
That's right.
So the safety to be fouled. That is being ruled as a fumble and a sack for the safety. So the only good that comes out of it statistically, Jim Zorn, who is suffering, is not charged.
Yeah, that makes it
makes it wonderful.
Yeah.
First down at their 28-yard line.
They've been pretty fortunate, you know, throwing 60-yard interceptions on the exchanges, because they throw one for 60. Seattle picks it off, gets stopped short of a first down. And you can see Al Davis with Sam Berkovich, one of his longtime friends. Al is very concerned. He knows they've done all the things you're supposed to do to get.
Seconds remaining. Third quarter. Plunkett to throw, first down, and down he goes. Fourth sack of the day. Combination of Green and Schultz on the sack. A loss of 5. Ought to be a 2nd and 15 back at the 23. We have seen almost every possible way a team can score. Halfback option thrown by Marcus Allen, several field goals, a safety. Punt return for 75 yards by Paul Johns.
20-yard broken play run by a quarterback.
Plunkett on second down for Christensen. And a good move after the catch as Christensen picks up the first down. Gregory Johnson, the extra defensive back, taking the tackle as time has run out in this third quarter, and Jim Plunkett has got over the 20,000 yardage mark for his career at the end of 3, 24-22, Seahawks by 2. We'll be back after these words from your local station.
It's an NBC movie.
All right, hello to Maggie. As we get underway, fourth quarter, and what has been an entertaining game. Seahawks leading the Raiders 24-22, and a first down at the 40-yard line for the Raiders. That's Malcolm Barnwell in motion. Play action, and Plunkett dumps it off, a short pickup. Butler all over the receiver, Hawkins. And Plunkett in his 13th season out of Stanford joined the Raiders as a free agent back in 1978 after he was released by the San Francisco 49ers.
Well, you could tell right then he was a very confused player. Al Davis did a very wise thing. He gave him an opportunity to rest for a little over a year before he really, and when he came back, he started challenging for the job. That's when Al knew he was ready to play, and he came in a critical time.
Woo! Marcus Allen short a couple for the first down. Bruce Schultz on the stop. Up front, it's Green, Tuiasosopo, and Bryant. The linebackers, Schultz, Robinson, Butler, and Gaines. Michael Jackson replaced by Gaines. Jackson with a knee injury taken to the hospital for x-rays. No further report. 3rd down and 2. Raiders at their 48. And here's Allen. Stopped short of the 1st down and lost yardage. Shelton Robinson right there. So Ray Guy will come on to punt.
Okay, the same play that picked up 8 yards on 1st down. The Seahawks are ready for it. One of the few times you see Marcus Allen pick up nothing or actually lose yardage. The things that are generally effective for the Raiders offensively have not been in the 2nd half.
Ray Guy, who had one run back by Paul Johns for 75 yards, back at his 30. Johns in his 3rd season out of Tulsa. This time Guy with excellent hang time. And Johns at the 10. Time he lost his balance and trying to put a move on. James Davis was covering.
He used real good judgment, though, because when he did slip through and fell down, he didn't try to get up again, or he'd have been history.
We'd like 4th quarter. It's a 1st down at the 14-yard line. And they work out of the eye. Kurt Warner. Short pickup. And the Raiders have handled Warner very well.
Yeah, I guess it's not too long, but it's 7. You know what? I think it was 6 yards. Now, when you find a back that can scoot for 6, and you and I both thought he was stopped at the line of scrimmage, they're going to have to try him a little more often.
On a 2nd down, well, they say 5 now. He's
all right.
2nd and 5 at the 19. And Warner tries the left side. Refusing to go down, Lyle Alzado. Able to follow him to the far side.
1 middle.
It'll be a 3rd down and 2. 67 yards picked up thus far by Kurt Warner. First time that these two have met since the Fiesta Bowl a couple of years back, in which Warner raced for 145 yards and 2 touchdowns while Allen was held in check. Here's Zorn running out of the pocket and has the 1st down. Bob Nelson, number 51, on the tackle.
Well, what happens is you take a look at films and you see, hey, whenever we drop back, their inside linebackers turn their backs and try to get deep and go into their respective areas. When you see that in the film, that's a perfect play to execute against it. Take 3 steps back. As soon as they get moving, you come up where they left. It's almost a gimme, and a lot of teams don't have a quarterback like Zorn who can move that well to pick up the difference.
And he's picked up 41 yards on the ground. 1st down.
His air time's a little suspect,
yes,
however.
1st down at the 25. And Zorn fires and completes. The tight end, Charlie Young, his first catch of the day. Mike Davis on the stop.
First time they've aimed at him.
Charlie Young had that big day last week, his best as a Seahawk, 7 receptions.
I think you'll find that may be his best ever. Charlie Young has been an outstanding tight end. When he was younger, he had good speed. He seems to have lost that. He doesn't get very open, and it leads a quarterback into the feeling that, hey, maybe I shouldn't throw it. But if you throw it to him when he is covered, he'll come down with 80%.
And a 1st down for the Seahawks. So Zorn is now 3 for 13 for a total of 4 yards. So right now he's out of the minus category.
Well, that's great.
He has really had one that he will not forget.
Marv, he just put some signal on him. Sounds like he's trying to stop the bleeding when you put your wrists together. I don't know what it means.
the swing for Hughes. Nice move by Hughes. David Hughes out of the backfield. And right at the first down marker. Let's see where they spot it.
Hughes has run very well all day. When given any opportunity, he has made the most of it. He's primarily a blocker for Warner. That's a tough duty indeed. He does a good job there, but you see he gets a quick screen. Does very well once he's given the ball. Here's Reggie McKenzie. Old veteran, still outstanding when he leads a screen. Picks up his man. Picks up the first two, I think. He may be just a little short, but I thought it was good for a first.
Reggie McKenzie, 33 years old, spent 11 years in Buffalo, a key man of the Bills Electric Company, blocking for O.J. Simpson.
He's an example of Chuck Knox's theory that you take about 5 guys who teach the rest of your squad how to win, because it really gets tough late in the season. You'll see the work habits that these fellows have developed over the years will shine through and keep these fellows in the hunt.
Seahawks just short of the first down. It's a 2nd and inches. Hughes for the first down. David Hughes trying the left side, has picked it up. 5 minutes gone by in this 4th quarter. And the Seahawks, who had a big 3rd quarter with 17 points, leading the Raiders 24-22, and they have come from behind to do it.
Well, it's just been an outstanding offensive surge. That was just an illustration of how good that line can be.
Here's Warner. Breaking tackles as he gets to the Raider 49-yard line. Now for an update, let's get back to NFL 83 in New York.
All right, Marv Albert, Steve DeBerg has
of everything in terms of offense here today. Zorn able to get it away. Paul Johns on the reception. It is ruled incomplete. Right at the sideline.
Well, Johns was doing the things you have to do to help your quarterback when he's in trouble. Zorn was not designed to roll out. He was elusive enough to get out of the pass rush, and when he did so, Johns tried to come back and help him, but didn't have it as he crossed the stripe.
So it is a 3rd down and 8 at midfield. Fans booing the call, but he was out of bounds, out of the shotgun. Again, Zorn incomplete. Bill Pickell got a piece of it. Dan Dornick, the intended receiver. And that is it for the Seattle drive. There's the backup quarterback, Dave Creed, number 17.
Generally, I don't see any receivers that he could throw the ball to who are open. I don't know what it is, but Steve Largent is so adept at getting into open spaces. You're just accustomed to seeing a lot of space between the defender and the wide receiver. He's not in the ball game, and I haven't seen anybody picking up the slack.
Jeff West back at his 36. Beauty. Greg Pruitt lets it fly, and they'll bring it out to the 20-yard line. So the punting of West has kept Pruitt in check, and a timeout has been called with 8:31 remaining, 4th quarter. Those Raiders. Malcolm Barnwell out to the right side. Plunkett looking that way. It has it. Let's see what the call is. It's Jeff Plunkett picks it up and races in. And it's ruled a fumble recovery.
Marv, I thought
most unusual scoring play.
That ought to just about capture every way you can do it.
So here is Norm Johnson looking to give the Seahawks a 31-22 lead. Zorn awaits the snap. The defense has done it again. With the Tar Heels, now a starter at inside linebacker on the left. Off the recovery, the hit by Jeff Bryant. And here are the Seahawks scoring again, and they lead the Raiders 31-22. The kickoff by Johnson. Pruitt. Once again, met by superb coverage by the Seahawks, and it's Don Dufek leading the way.
Special teams and defense. Now, a lot of people would say, and Plunkett, I think, agrees, hey, his arm was close. He was moving forward, but the ball, in evidence, went backwards, which means they hit it before the ball was on its movement forward. The ball never made any movement forward. He's trying to get a call from the official mentioning that he was in the motion of throwing the ball, and it doesn't matter whether you are or not. If your arm's not coming forward with the ball when it's hit, it's a fumble. That's the way it was received. How about 7-0 in turnovers?
And here's Plunkett under pressure. Puts it up top. Seattle recovers. Jacob Green on the recovery.
Thought it was important to play offense, but Seattle obviously realizes that's overrated. They're liable to put 40 points on the board without ever sustaining an offensive drive after the opener. Plunkett has no options left. His offensive line has got to protect. He's got to let his receivers get down the field. Joe Nash is the first man to get a hold of Plunkett. Jacob Green picks up the fumble, and they've got it again inside the 10.
5 fumbles, 3 interceptions thrown by Plunkett for the 8 turnovers. And here is Zorn, first and goal at the 8. And the Raiders have to be asking, what is going on?
Well, they're averaging 4.5 turnovers a game, and they came into this baby 5-1. They're too many turnovers is what's going on.
6th sack credited to Seattle. Dornick picks up some short yardage. Ted Watts, Van McElroy combined on the tackle as we checked the scoreboard earlier today at Shea in New York. The Dolphins doing it to the Jets 32-14.
This isn't the only place turnovers were a factor. Look at Pittsburgh. They got 5 of Sipes, 5 of Richard Todd's.
San Francisco with a late rally, walloping New Orleans. New England over San Diego, 37-21. Minnesota winning big over Houston. 31-17, Detroit beating Chicago. 2nd and goal at the 6. Nice change of direction. Waller is in.
For their franchise. Chuck Knox stated before the ball game that if we can win this one, we're definitely in the hunt for certain in a position to get a playoff berth. And you get a guy like Kurt Warner who gets his shoulders upfield in a position where a linebacker's one-on-one, and that guy's got no case. Chuck Knox ran all the way down to the goal line to congratulate number 28. And these fellas not only now where the Raiders were in a great position, if they win the game, they could have extended their lead to 3 games in the AFC West. Right now, it's going to be 1 game difference. That's a 2-game turnaround, all done by special teams and defense.
And Norm Johnson gives the Seahawks a 38-22 lead. things are going bad for the Raiders. Gregory Johnson on the tackle of Montgomery. And the Raiders now first down at the 13. Here's Montgomery recovering. Now watch Pruitt. Oh.
That's right. Once it starts getting tough, it just keeps getting tougher. This is the first time I've ever seen the Raiders intimidated. How many times have we seen them play? They've come back from adversity so many times, but today they're just trying to stop the dike.
Well, the Seahawks have the Raiders just where they want them now. Here's Plunkett, and he gets it away. The catch by Dokie Williams. Covered by Dave Brown. Let's go back to the scoreboard. Another final. St. Louis over Tampa Bay, 34-26.